These are drills that I want you to do on the same day after you complete DB Week 1 drills. These drills are coverage specific, and this is how we will play the number one receiver in our press motor technique, whether it's a safety or corner out on the number one. Just like the DB1 week drills that I sent to you, we will start from simple to hard. We will start with stance, talk about leverage, and what we need to be looking at.
In our stance, we want to make sure that our feet are pretty much parallel underneath our shoulders. Our weight should be on the balls of our feet. Okay, we should be real light. Sometimes guys aren't real light, so they should make them light, so they'll just go ahead and pop them in and out a little bit. Go ahead, loosen up those feet, guys. There you go. Get them going. We want to make sure the weight is on the balls of the feet. So right here, we're going to work on our slide technique, which are read steps. So make sure our hands are up. Our toes, if our guys feel like our toes on their heels a little bit, they can go ahead and move their toes slightly in. Moving their toes slightly in.
The coach will now talk about your relationship on the number one receiver, which we say that's called leverage, okay? Leverage is how you're playing, how you're aligned to the number one receiver. He will also talk about your eyes and what you need to be looking at pre-snap.
All is inside, okay? Very important thing is that we understand anytime we ever do drills, making sure that we know where our leverage is. There's two types of leverage we talk about, okay? There's side-to-side leverage on a guy. So here, inside leverage, or if Jay moves outside, we have outside leverage. But we also have up and down leverage. The ball's inside here now again, and now it's our body. We move our body up and down. So we want to make sure that we have good leverage, both side to side and up and down, okay? So right here, what we're going to do is work on our stance. Let's have a great stance real quick. Okay, one thing we really believe here at Boise State is having great peer pressure and having our guys help each other out. So our guys that are receivers, that right now they're talking to these guys saying, hey, you got to make sure your eyes to your eyes. Right now, defense point at your focal point. Okay, we should be looking at the inside hip of our man. If we look on the inside hip of our man, okay, that lead leg's going to tell us where he's going. So when we work our slide steps, we want to make sure that we get separation off slide steps. There we go. Six, go. Working back. Good, right there. Just working slightly backwards so we can adjust. Okay, going again. Six, go. Good, just working slightly back, having good body length. Okay, when we talk about our stance again, key points of the stance. Our feet should be about shoulder width apart. Our hands should be up. We should have a good 45-degree bend in our back right here. We should have our eyes up, good bend in our knees, toes slightly inward.
The next coach will go over the same points the previous coach had made about stance, alignment, and your feet.
So I've got my hex ring again as my receiver. Ball's on the inside. I want to be inside shade right here. I'm protecting the inside. This is man-to-man press technique. I want to be here. We're going to use offhand. So if we get an outside release, punch with the inside hand. We get inside, punch with the outside hand. The key to this is to feather off. And the reason why I believe in a soft press is, and soft doesn't mean that we're not going to get our hands on. Soft doesn't mean that we're playing basketball and I'm not going to touch anybody. All this means is I'm going to be soft at the beginning. I'm going to let that receiver get through his foot fire, and then once he decides and those shoulders turn, then I'm going to hammer him. So if I get and a lot of times with this, if I get a speed release in soft press, now I'm going to punch and I'm going to get into face. If I get inside, I'm feather plant, now I'm here, now I'm tapping that. So the key again is that feather, eyes down, hands on the table, never take the first step. So usually if I'm going to go this way, the receiver's going to plant and he's going to come back. Really, and a drill that you can work at home or you can work with your kids is just have a receiver foot fire and do all that dancing and just let them sit there and get used to not reacting to the foot fire or the plant. Because usually if I plant here, I'm coming back in this way. Usually you don't get, even if you get the double, they're still coming back. Very rarely do you have a plant and then a stutter and go. So again, feet shoulder width apart, hands on the table, slide inside shade with the ball here. Okay, eyes down on the hips. At the movement of the ball, feather, feather, feather.
Here's an example of a drill you can do with no receiver or no partner.
Go. Working back to the numbers. Okay, replay.
Here's Coach Alexander explaining a drill you could do with a partner.
Okay, one of the easiest things to do to work the press technique, especially a soft press. Now remember, a soft press doesn't mean I'm not going to get hands on the receiver. I'm just going to feather out before, and I'm going to let the receiver make a choice. Is he going to go inside? Is he going to go outside? I want that receiver to foot fire to nowhere, and then once he makes a decision, then I'm going to offhand jam. So one way to work that is what I call the trigger drill. So all you're going to do is get your DB in front of the receiver. Okay, all the receiver's going to do is foot fire. Say it, go. Okay, all he's going to do is foot fire. If you notice, I feathered out. What that works is, if you think about it, if a receiver is going to foot fire, he's usually going to plant and come back the opposite way. One thing that we don't want to do as a DB, especially in press, is to overcommit to that, and then now I'm behind. What I would rather do is just feather out. So here's the trigger drill again. Say it, go. Okay, and now I just trigger out.
Here are some examples of some techniques and reminders for the press motor technique. This is also an example of a drill you can do with a partner. The next examples are the second part of the drill. It's our next progression. We go from a motor to a side shuffle.
Our next progression is slide, step, and replace. We're going to slide back and we're going to step and replace. The big thing about step and replace is that we want to make sure that we can keep our hips on top of the receiver. Okay? So as we step back right here, we're going to slide, step and replace to the inside. So the receiver's going to step up and then take one step to his left. Good. And then we're going to step and replace. Keep maintaining the same distance as you started. Okay, here we go, full speed. Okay, so receiver's taking one step up, one step inside, working our step and replace, slide, step, replace. Say it, go, slide, step and replace.
The next coach will go over some key points that we already covered in our motor technique, and then get into also the second progression drill that you can do this week.
Okay, motor release. The first thing we teach. Now, what's the mirror motor release? You know, there's bump and run to where you're going to get up in his face and you're going to hit him, you're going to run with him. There are receivers in this conference, receivers that I've faced over the years, that every time you can't get up and strike him and hit him. We use that as a changeup. So we start off with teaching what we call a motor technique, which is a 6-inch step. 6-inch step. If I can get my coach here to demonstrate with me, he'll play wide out, I'll play receiver, the ball's inside there. Now, as you teach this, a lot of guys make mistakes, and even my young guys will come in and they want to get right up in the face. I think it's important that you start off, especially dealing with the skill level of the athlete you're dealing with, that you start off and give yourself some distance. But what the motor technique is we ask them to put their feet parallel, right up under the armpit, and we're going to take 6-inch steps backwards. All we're doing is when he moves, again, my eyes are on his waist, down to his knees. When that flinches, we're going to motor back 6 inches. At the same time, staying down, staying square, eyes are down. Now, whatever side he releases to, Coach, you can back up just a step. Whatever side he releases to, the ball's in there. All I'm trying to do is mirror the release and staying in front of him, not letting him get even. So as I 6-inch back, as he goes outside, I'm going to open up to the side that he releases. Now, there's some things we teach with arm coming back. As the arm comes back, your head better shoot back. But at the same time, you have to be able to turn your body running that way. Now, what you'll see the guys doing on tape right now to start off with is they'll motor and they'll release and they'll just open up, getting the hips used to opening up, staying in front and being able to run. That's the first phase of it, motor release. So look at the tape. You'll see this young man motor back, good stance. Look at his head. His eyes are down. Now, this release doesn't mean inside or outside. They're mirroring the release. Now, all the things that happen right here, all the things that happen when the hips turn open, okay, this has to be trained every single day. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no set rule as to how you open your hips. A defensive back's athletic ability has to come out, but you can see this young man here open the hips, eyes are down, in position to run. And guys are all different. You can see his steps are a little bit sloppy, but he's still inching out. He had a real good understanding of being able to keep his body in front of the man. If you can keep your body in front of the man, that's what the motor is. If you can keep your body in front of him, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, there is no route. There is no route. Really good job there. You can see all of their eyes are down. Now, as you're working on this with your players, make sure that what the receiver does is just as important. The receiver has to play wide out. Okay? These are our DBs. They have to play wide out. So as you inch out, if the receiver comes off and just clowns around and doesn't give you a look, you're not getting a look. So make the wide out do it. Make him understand that he's trying to make the DB better. Eyes are down. Whichever side the release is, you're going to open up to that side, and you're going to try to take your body and run down inside and keep your eyes on his belt buckle on his knee. You'll understand in a few minutes why. Nice motor. Again, you can see the hips open. Watch his body come to cut him off. Good example right here of the eyes down. The eyes are down. The eyes are down. Now, some guys are good at using their hands. Some guys are good at using their feet and their eyes. But the one thing in common, the side that the hips and knees open to, it tells you where to take your body. You can see we're working on a line. We're working right down the line, a lot of reps. This young man likes using his hands. Long arms. You can see him. I call him the karate guy, karate chop. But look at the eyes down. Eyes are down. He can motor out and punch at the same time, which is really good. Now, the next phase of it.
The next part this coach is explaining can be your second progression from just motoring backwards. Now you can motor to turn and shuffle your hips both ways.
Now, the next phase of it is that we have to be able to teach the guys that whatever side the receiver opens up to, I always say the opposite arm has to come up. So if the receiver goes to my left, okay, if he goes to my left, I have to be able to open up to this side. And as I open up, as he closes the cushion, my arm comes up, thumb up, head has to go back. Why is that important? If you don't teach them that, they'll lean forward, and as they lean forward, they'll lose their man. Head and eyes have to go back, arm stiffens out. We don't punch down, we punch up, thumb up. But we have to be able to do this at the same time with opening up our hips and still doing what? Still being able to run on top. Now, what this is to teach opposite arm, opposite leg. So I tell our wideouts, or our DBs who are playing wideout, to open up and go to the left at a 45 few steps, to the right at a 45. So what it does, it teaches them to come here and to flip their eyes, head and eyes at the same time, flipping their hips, and their eyes are down, but teaching the proper arm that comes up with the release. Now we throw this in sometimes. I like to do this with the young guys, because what happens is that they're in position where it's hard to put the opposite arm up to the side that they're going. So this is just teaching. Here's a good job of this young man keeping his head and eyes down.
This last drill you can do here is just to work on your side shuffle.